I don't want to give back my nephew to his parents. After my nephew Quinn came out to his dad, aka my brother, his dad basically sent him to live with me. You two disappointments should stick together. Those were his exact words, and he wasn't wrong. I am family disappointment anyway. 34, divorced, childless, haven't seen a church in years. Perfect place to park their broken kid. The plan was simple. Give Quinn space to breathe for the summer, keep him fed and safe, and wait for my brother to remember he loves his son. Or at least, that's how it was supposed to go. From that day on, Quinn became my invisible roommate. He took over the spare bedroom and disappeared into it like smoke. I only knew he existed because food would vanish from the kitchen, and the shower would run at 3 p.m. every day. The kid was nocturnal. I'd lie in bed at 4 a.m. listening to Call of Duty gunfire through the ceiling, wondering if I should check on him, but what would I even say? Every Sunday at 7 p.m. sharp, he had to video call his parents. I'd hover outside his door sometimes, catching fragments of conversation that made my stomach turn. His mother sobbing about where she went wrong, his father reading scripture about abominations, and Quinn just saying okay over and over in this hollow voice that barely sounded human. After those calls, he wouldn't come out for days. We fell into this weird routine where I'd cook huge batches of food on Sundays and portion them into containers with little index cards describing what they were. He'd sneak down at strange hours to grab them, and I'd find the clean containers stacked by the sink every morning. We never talked about it, this bizarre meal exchange program we had going, but it felt like the only way I could take care of him without scaring him back into his room. About 3 weeks in, I remembered his mom mentioning he used to love art, so I left a sketch pad and some professional pencils outside his door. They disappeared overnight, and soon I started finding these incredible drawings crumpled in the trash. Portraits of kids his age, probably friends from back home, all thrown into the garbage. It killed me seeing that talent thrown away, but I just quietly bought more paper and kept leaving it outside his door like some kind of art supply fairy. Everything flipped upside down the day my dad called about Mom's accident. I was in the middle of chopping bell peppers for Quinn's weekly meal prep when my phone rang. Mom's car had been T-boned by a drunk driver who ran a red light in Phoenix, and she was in emergency surgery. They didn't know if she'd walk again, didn't even know if she'd wake up. I just stood there, completely frozen, like my brain had shut down. That's when Quinn came downstairs for the first time in daylight, probably just wanted water, and found me standing there like a statue. He could have grabbed his drink and escaped back upstairs, but instead he carefully took the knife from my hand and guided me to the couch. "What do you need?" he asked, and those 4 words broke whatever dam was holding me together. I told him everything through tears, how I needed to get to Phoenix immediately but my hands were shaking too hard to book anything, how I needed someone to watch the cat and call my boss and pack a bag. This kid who'd barely spoken to me all summer suddenly took charge of my entire life. He booked my flight on his phone, called my work, and explained the situation, even packed me a suitcase while I sat there useless on the couch. At 6 a.m., he drove me to the airport in my own car because I was too shaky to drive, and as I got out he said, "Text me when you land. Grandma's tough. She'll make it." During those 2 weeks in the ICU, while Mom fought through 3 surgeries, Quinn sent me updates every day. Nothing fancy, just cat's good, or took the trash out, but it meant everything knowing someone was taking care of things at home. When I finally made it back, completely drained and running on coffee fumes, I found him in the kitchen making actual dinner. Not leftovers, not takeout, but salmon with roasted vegetables, the exact recipe Mom used to make when I was sick as a kid. He must have found it in my recipe box. We ate together at the table for the first time since he'd arrived, and suddenly this ghost I'd been living with became a real person with opinions about movies, and a crush on some boy from his school. And just as I was starting to bond with him, my brother called with his big reconciliation plan. Apparently they'd found a new church that's supposedly more understanding, whatever that meant, and they wanted Quinn home for senior year. My heart skipped a beat, and I didn't even realize how much Quinn had become a part of me until that moment. I didn't want him to leave, but how could I keep him away from his parents? So I buried my feelings and told him everything. "I'll drive you home tomorrow," I said, and Quinn's response was, "What if I don't want to go back? I'm already 18. I can decide where I live." I couldn't believe what I'd just heard. "Wait, you want to live with me instead of your parents?" Quinn nodded. "Only if you let me call you Mom."